Hey everyone, in this short lecture, I'm going to go over programming assignment 4, basically explain what the expectations are. So let's go over the instructions. Write a program that dynamically allocates an array large enough to hold a user-defined number of test scores. Once all the scores are entered, the array should be passed to a function that finds the highest value. And another function should be called that calculates the average score. The program should display the highest value and average with appropriate heading. Use the point notation rather than array notation whenever possible. And then these are the two functions. All right, so let's switch to Visual Studio. So the function, the first one, I'm going to give you an example of function sum. And then you're going to do the same thing with average and the highest. So the function returns an integer, of course, because you are calculating the sum. And then it takes a pointer. Remember that an array is a pointer. So you can call this function using an array. And then we have the size. Okay? So to calculate the sum, of course, I need a variable to calculate the sum. And then I'm going to use the array. So there are 3 or 4 different ways you can do that, either using the array or using a pointer. So I'm going to use the loop less than size I plus plus. So I'm going to add all the values. I can either use this the normal way or I. So I'm using his score as an array. Score 0, score 1, score 2, 3, and so on. So that's one way. Or I can use it as a pointer. So in this case, I need to use the asterisk and then the pointer score plus I. Okay? So score plus 0, asterisk score plus 0, that's the first one. Score plus 1, asterisk, that's the second element, and so on. So I basically like every 4 bytes. So I'm just changing the pointer to the next one. So that's one way. Or the third way, you can just dereference the pointer using score. And in this case, you have to increment the pointer to move on to the next element. So let me just use the one that says asterisk score plus I. So once you go over or you add up all the values, then you return the total. Okay, so this function will return the total. Now in the main function, first one, I need 2 variables, the number of tests, and I need a pointer. Let's call it tests. So, and I'm going to use that's going to point to an array that is dynamically allocated memory. So I'm going to use int, and then of course I'm going to use the num test, but I don't have that information, so I'm going to prompt the user to enter that information. Enter the number of tests. Of course, I'm going to use n num test. Okay, and that's the difference between static memory allocation and dynamic. When you are using the normal array, that's a static memory allocation. That means the array is created during the compilation time. But when I use the dynamic memory allocation, it is created during the runtime. Because what about if we don't know ahead of time what's the size of the array? And the only way is using dynamic memory allocation. So now we have the array, but there's nothing in there. We need to assign some values. So we can use the loop. So 0 I less than the number of tests I plus plus assign. So CIN And then I can use the same thing, asterisk, test plus I. So this will assign the values to my array. Now it's time to call the function. Now, since the function will return an integer, so I'm going to put here the variable total. And then I'm going to call the function sum. So it takes a pointer, which we do have, test, and then the size, which is the number of tests. Okay. So now let's run the program. And don't forget, when we use, a dynamic memory allocation, make sure that you delete at the end. You need to delete the pointer, because if you don't, then we're gonna have something called a memory leak, because it's not the space is not free yet. So to avoid that memory leak, you need to make sure you delete after you finish using the pointer. So let's run the program. So first is going to ask me how many number of tests. I'm going to put 4. So let's say 50, 60, 70, 80. Now hit the enter key. Because I did not print, that's why it doesn't show. So I'm going to print. Of course, make sure you print before. So I'm going to put here the total of all tests is total. So now let's run the program again. So the number of tests is 4, 50, 60, 70, 80, and the total is 260. That's great. So you're going to do the same thing for the other two functions. So you just have to create another function. So one, it returns the highest, the same information. It takes a pointer score, and then size, and then the other one, average. So the average is most likely to be double. So you put average, and then it takes the same. So it should be easy to get. Okay, so just follow the same steps. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to let me know. Thank you.